Remember, don't like, share, or subscribe. What are you trying to do? Blow up the channel or something? I got enough on my plate. Welcome back, you outstanding agents of intellectual acuity. This is going to be tough. We're going to have to break this up into 3 parts because it was just obnoxious to have to sit and listen to the ramblings of really somebody, and again, I'm not a doctor, just play one on the web, of somebody who, in actuality, looks as if she is just textbook narcissist and oppositionally defiant. The devil cometh, and he is a she. Let's join the Whatever podcast and dive into it.
So, it's a funny thing. According to this community, I'm not totally one, but according to the general public, I am. So, I guess it depends who you ask.
Can I have you just scoot your mic to the edge of the table, like that corner? Perfect.
Good.
Thank you.
When you say the general public, I'm assuming that you mean more people when you say general public.
I mean, I certainly haven't talked to anybody, but I sort of, I am only attracted to wealthy, generous men who provide for me. That's all I've ever dated in my entire life. It's all I ever would. I'd rather be single than split bills. So, yeah, that is how I like to live. But, work type of women have told me that I don't qualify as one, so I'm not sure why.
Do you not consider yourself a...
No, they tell me that I don't qualify because I don't do the same stuff and live the same way, but I very much think sex work should be decriminalized, and I think even if you hate it, the way we handle it in America is harmful, but that's a different discussion, so...
well, I'm happy to get into that discussion, but before we do... You are, I'm just curious, what are you bringing to the table besides your body to these men who are taking care of you?
You'd have to ask them.
I'm asking you.
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. They're the ones who want to date me.
So from your perspective, what do you bring?
Me.
So what does that mean?
I mean, you'd have to ask someone who loves me why they love me. I'm not a mind reader.
No, I'm not asking you to be a mind reader. I'm just asking, you are on the other end of this relationship. I assume you know what you bring to the table of the relationship, right?
If somebody loves me, and I love them, then I keep dating them. I don't really worry about the why.
So you don't know what you bring to the table?
I don't really give it that much consideration.
Well, if you had to guess, if you had to take the attributes you think that they're after the most, what would you say they were?
Don't know. I'm not a mind reader.
You've never even asked?
Never. Nope.
You've never asked, why do you love me?
No. Why would I ask
You
that?
never asked, why do you like me?
No.
That's an
You never asked, what are the things about me that you adore?
No.
You never asked any of those questions?
I have not.
So then, essentially, you're just giving them sex, and in exchange, they're giving you money, and that's it?
Hopefully
Or
not.
Well, then what else is there?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
I mean, if you don't know, then... I'm asking you. You're on the other end of the relationship. That's kind of an odd answer, right? So if
Okay.
Somebody were to say, what do you bring to the table between you and your wife? You say, well, you can ask my wife. If they say, well, but I'm asking you, what do you think you bring to the table? I think I would have pretty good answers for what I think I bring to the table. You don't have any?
No, not for you.
What does that mean, not for me? Does that mean you have answers for somebody else who's not me?
No.
No, you don't have those either? So you just don't have any answers at all?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. This is going to be a deep dive into psychology and human behavior. As a life coach, as somebody who has been involved with people in training and wellness and healthcare for 27 years, I've met all kinds of people. I've been in business with all kinds of good and bad people. Many people that exhibit all kinds of varying psychiatric disorders. Now, I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a doctor, and I'm not diagnosing them. But in sleuthing, one can postulate a perspective of speculation as to who this person actually is. And it would seem to me that Andrew Wilson clearly is an authority figure in this discussion. There's no doubt about it. He's often on the podcast. This gal is not stupid. She is very educated, and she's accomplished. I give the devil her due. So he is, without question, an authority figure. And all she does in this entire 3-part episode, for whatever that I broke down, she is oppositionally defiant at all times. And what is that? So textbook oppositional defiant, according to WebMD, is a behavior disorder in which a child, typically it's a childhood disorder, and most grow out of it, but she exhibits it textbook. It's a pattern of being angry, cranky, defiant, combative, and vindictive towards people in authority, which Andrew absolutely is. It's disrupting the activities that are going on in this particular podcast. Now, when we look at the traits of somebody who is oppositionally defiant, we see that there are many different qualities, behaviors that go along with this. And again, I'm not diagnosing her, but I'm asking you to judge for yourself. What do you think? Is she oppositionally defiant? Let me know. Let's discuss it in the comments. She is not throwing a temper tantrum according to these various symptoms, again, according to WebMD. She is excessively argumentative. You're going to see that that's going to be the case, especially with authority, which Andrew Wilson is. She can't even answer a simple question. What do you bring to the table? You know, who are you? She just very simple things she just can't answer. She can't define herself. She's just being disagreeable with him at every step of the way. The rules of the podcast, if you know you're going on to a podcast, you're going there to share information, to be deposed, to answer questions. But she doesn't want to do that. Not for him. Nope, not for him. She doesn't want to answer. So she is actively and will constantly refuse to comply with the rules of the podcast, answering questions. She will answer her own questions, or she'll answer things in her own way. And it's annoying and upsetting to everybody that's around her. There's no doubt about it. She doesn't frequently outburst in anger, which is why she seems to be very even-keeled and very narcissistic, which we'll get into in a minute. But look at all of these boxes that she checks off. She's being spiteful by not wanting to answer his questions. Okay? She's saying mean things. Not for you. She doesn't want to answer him. And she is, I guess, showing vindictive behavior, seeking to hurt him in this by things that she's going to say. Okay? You could be a little bit soft on that last one, but she's really checking a lot of boxes here. Vindictive, defiant, oppositional behavior. Let's get back to it.
So you said you're a high-end companion, but you don't, just so I have this correct, you don't consider yourself an escort?
I sort of thought it was similar with very much longer relationships, but in the sense that I like men who provide for me. So I thought I was kind of with extremely long and deep relationships, but people in my industry say that I'm not. So I don't know what you would call me.
I can think of a couple things that I'd like to call her. She talks about long, deep, and meaningful relationships, but you're going to find out later they're not deep and meaningful. They're transactional. As long as this person, a man, has something to offer her, and it's all materialism. It's dresses, dinners, travel, all that stuff. And of course, there is some modicum, some form of some emotional exchange, something, but it's all surface. It must be. And superficial, because without those other three things, money and travel and dinners and clothing and all that stuff, there is no relationship.
So, I mean, if a guy contacted you and wanted to go on a date with you, aside from, I guess, paying for the meal, I mean, would you charge him for your time to, go on the date?
I would never date a guy who didn't provide enough for the vacation, the outfit, the wardrobe, everything else, too.
For a first date?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so, a new guy comes into the picture, he's asking you out for the first time. I guess, what does he have to do for the date to actually occur?
It's been years, but many things. I've got to like him a lot, I've got to want to, and yes, he has to be very generous.
Yeah, so when you say very generous, though, I'm looking for something a little more concrete. Like, so you mentioned, like, wardrobe, he has to pay for clothes. Even on, like, first time eating, he has to pay for your clothes?
It depends what the plans are. I mean, again...
he's taking you a nice steak dinner in New York.
Yeah, I'm going to expect an outfit. I'm going to expect shop. Like, usually, they send you to their personal shopper, and then the car picks you up at 7:30, and, all the standard stuff. It's pretty normal where I live.
It's pretty normal where I'm from. No, it's not. That is not normal behavior. There is such an overstated self-importance, and that is where we get into this narcissistic behavior. And so, again, WebMD, textbook, narcissism, signs and symptoms. People who show signs of narcissism can often be very charming and charismatic, and she is bright, she's well-spoken and all that stuff. She's got an education, I know. I just deleted it because it wasn't part and parcel to the discussion of talking about this oppositional defiant personality and narcissism, which she, to me, looks textbook, though I'm not diagnosing her. They often don't show negative behavior right away, especially in relationships. So she probably comes on, she's probably very charming, she's probably very nice, she's not unattractive. But people who show narcissism behavior often like to surround themselves with people who feed into their ego. She feels that she's very important. She wouldn't go out with a guy unless there was a dinner and buy me a dress because it's totally normal in her warped mind. And then they build relationships to reinforce these self-important ideas about themselves, even if the relationships are superficial, which they are, because without all of the materialism, there is no relationship. So we're going to continue to go down the rabbit hole with this gal for 2 more parts. And I want you to analyze and have an understanding about the narcissistic personality so that you could look for these things in how she answers questions and conducts herself for the remainder of these 2 parts. So we talk about manipulative behavior. Another common trait of the narcissist is manipulative or controlling behavior. Narcissists will first try to please you when they first meet you and they try to impress you, but their needs come out. At least in her case, her needs are right at the surface, right from moment one. I need a dress, I need dinner, I need travel, I need you to do things for me because I'm so important. And that takes us to the sense of entitlement. She thinks that she is superior to others because she probably is bright. She's a pilot. She was involved in finance and some type of business acquisition. So she is bright. So she feels that she's superior and she deserves this special treatment. And she's only going to hang around men that are going to treat her that way. And then there's an arrogance, and you see this throughout these 3 parts. She's very arrogant, and they already see themselves as superior to others, so they may become rude or abusive. And you're going to see how she treats Andrew this entire time. When they don't receive the treatment that they think they deserve, and they hold themselves superior, they may speak or act rudely toward those that they deem are inferior. So you're going to see how she talks to Andrew soon, if not later, like, when I talk, you listen, because she thinks that she is superior. And more. Other qualities of the narcissist: sense of self-importance, exaggerating their achievements and talents. She may be very talented. I don't know. We're only as good as her word is in all this. I have no idea. Preoccupation with fantasy, success, power, or brilliance. She really does. You could see in her whole affect. She's very impressed by herself, and she thinks she's very bright and smart. Again, I took it out of what I edited from the entirety of the whatever podcast because I couldn't stomach it. It was just very potent narcissism and entitlement. Believe that they're more special, unique than others. They should only associate with other high status people. Well, she's only going to hang around with people that can afford her. So again, she's checking off boxes here. Envy of others, or the belief that others are envious of them. Well, she is the entire time in the podcast going to portray herself so that she would be the envy of everybody else in the podcast around her. When she will certainly believe that she has the best of everything and that she's worth all this money and men just want to give her money. And then she feels that she deserves these privileges and special treatment. Textbook narcissist. Checking off all the boxes. My God, Brian, how did you do it? In front of you, live and in living color. Let's get back to Andrew.
Well, can I ask this maybe a different way? let us assume for a second that you met an attractive man in an age bracket that you thought was fantastic. He said, listen, I want our relationship to be purely material. I just want to have sex with you, and in exchange for that, I'm going to take care of whatever it is your material needs are. You wouldn't date him?
No, that's vulgar, and the answer would be no.
Well, why is it vulgar?
You said purely material.
Yeah, it's purely material.
Yeah, that's not for me.
So then there's something additional to the material that is valuable, right? Yeah, so what are those things about you that are additional to the material that are valuable?
For me to agree to go out with him, I've got to like him, and hopefully,
I know, you like him, all that's established.
Yeah.
But if the material itself is not the thing, if there's additions to that from your perspective, what are those additional things about you other than your body, the material, that you think they're interested in?
I don't know. If he's asking me out, I assume he's interested. I'm more concerned with whether I want him or not.
By the way, Andrew, I sent you...
Again, textbook narcissist. It's all about her. What can he do for me? And then hopefully he's gonna provide something to her that she likes, because it's really everything that's important to her, everything that she wants. How we got through part 1 together, I don't know. I hope you stick around for part 2. I need a break. Is it 5 o'clock yet? Doesn't even matter. Check, please.